Today is the day we are talking about hourly pricing for everything. Because I was actually undercharging, if I take off a whole day in the salon to do something outside of the salon, it needs to make the same financial sense. I'm telling you, like, when we kind of started promoting people that were going from black to platinum and doing it all in one go and being honest about the fact that it took 6 hours or 8 hours in the salon. And so people are like, how the heck do you charge for something like that? And I feel like it's common knowledge to charge hourly for a color correction, but not so much for every service. So I take the same approach with absolutely every service when somebody sits down in the chair, and the type of in-depth consultation that it takes as well. So once I started, doing almost every single client as a color correction, it was almost as if I was charging hourly for everything already. Like, it was like, this is what it means to charge hourly for everything, because I was essentially doing that. And so my transition into charging hourly for everything was really smooth and simple, so much more than I thought it would be. They don't feel like you're, finagling a price. They can see exactly when their appointment was, exactly when they left, and what they can expect to pay, which is incredible. And it's interesting because I've had clients come to me and say like, that's great that you charge an hourly rate. I think that this is absolutely really beneficial to you during this time, because you might only take a couple clients in that day. I actually have, she was an assistant of mine who just transitioned to hourly rate because of the new way that she has to book because of the effects of the coronavirus on her business. And she said that it was like the perfect timing, and it made absolute sense because she still needed to get paid a certain amount that day, and clients' needs are a little bit more during this time because you can't double book and different things like that, right? And there's just no awkward front desk interactions, when you get to the front desk and it's like, oh, and you're frantically trying to total it up. They're kind of looking at you like, oh my God, this could be 200, this could be 2,000. And you say that to the front desk, they know exactly what your hourly rate is, and they can calculate 3.5 hours and tell the client what you're charging. And the reason why it does that is not only because of the clear communication and that it's better for the clients, but it's also better for your artistry. So it's taking the pressure off of yourself and putting it where it really should be, which is actually on the client, let them kind of tell you. Once we get past that and within the consultation, now you have the freedom to unlock all of that artistry within yourself. They're like, oh wow, that's like less than I thought it would be because it's this time and it's, so I just think like the more clear the communication, the better that relationship is going to be. So it's based upon your haircut price plus about 20%. So if you're carrying less expensive product or if you're carrying more expensive product, typically around 20% is what I've found is a very fair, and if anything in your favor, percentage of what to put on top of that haircut price. Now, if that price seems a little bit too low for you, then you really need to take a look at your haircut prices. Maybe your haircut prices are not where they should be. So is your work, how much would you pay for your haircut? Like, I got exactly what that should have been, or do you feel a little bit gypped, and the same for your color services. Really just letting your heart lead you is a great way to figure out your price point, because if you're feeling a little gypped at the end of a color correction or the end of a day or whatever, I think it's time for you to raise your prices. This is, I think, the fairest way to charge. Because when you're charging somebody with a ton of hair the same price as somebody who has like next to no hair, and maybe it took you 15 minutes versus 3 hours, so learning how to transition from that it was very simple for me because it equaled out to about the same. So I would tell my clients, I'm switching my pricing system but it's nothing to really worry about. If anything, this is just clear communication. It's more integral, meaning it's just more honest, a more honest way to set your pricing. And sometimes your services might be even a little less, and sometimes they might be a little bit more. So it's not the same conversation that you're having with them as it is with a price increase, right? Where you're like, everything's going up. The other thing to consider would be, if you are booked, this is a way where you can kind of use this to your advantage a little bit. If you are booked like 6 Saturdays in a row out, but you have all this other time, like Wednesdays that are all completely empty or something like that, you can kind of do some premium pricing for those more like in demand, and it could be, you know, maybe $10 more an hour or $5 more an hour, but just something to kind of encourage your clients to take those spots that are empty so that you can really like steer the wheel on your business and make it so that you have more of a predictable income. Is that when you switch to an hourly rate and you have a consistent schedule, you have consistent income, and it's amazing. So if you are double booking, a frequently asked question is, are you charging everybody for the time that they're processing, or if they're double booking, or if that, or if this? You guys have to understand that when you're cooking a meal and you put whatever it is in the oven, the amount of time that it cooks is equally as important as those ingredients, because it could come out burnt and fried, right? Or it could come out like watery and gross. So you have to understand that processing time is a huge part of you using your expertise, and you're still using that. Plus, if you're double booking, you might work with an assistant. So if you're working with an assistant, then you're also incurring that cost where the assistant's taking care of them and double, you know, just giving a look under their foils and letting you know and having that communication. But so stable, predictable income is an incredible thing to have as a hairstylist. And then any double booking on top of that is extra, like bonus income, which is amazing. And if there's somebody really, really, really harping about price, it might come down to an honest conversation with that person. I've had to have it where I've had to say, like, maybe we're not a great fit, or, give them to somebody who might be at a different price point, who might be starting out and be thrilled to have that client. So I don't know if you guys are already doing that. And some of you might need to start working towards changing your hourly price and give yourself a raise to make this whole system work. But you have to give yourself a raise, I would say, at least once a year. Or a lot of people suggest like before the holiday season is a good time to raise prices to get yourself to where you're supposed to be at, and then potentially lose a lot of clients. So giving yourself a raise is really easy when it's an hourly price, because you're just like, okay, my hourly price was $100. So it's just an even, like I said, conversations across the board are simple. Now, how to list this on a pricing menu, I promise you, like, you're going to be really surprised when you're really looking at it and breaking it down for your own business. And you have all of the services listed out. They can still select what they think their service is, or you can tell them, the previous time that they get their hair done, what to select on your menu. But as far as pricing goes, a lot of it doesn't matter high-end or not, salons, but here in Southern California, where I'm from, most people will actually just list, like, it'll have their bio pic, a cool little thing about them, and then it'll just say either their haircut price with a plus sign. Like, okay, so this one, her hourly rate is around $75, and then this one, her hourly rate is around $100, or it starts at $75, or it starts at $100, and then goes up, right? And I think having an open dialogue with your salon owner is amazing, and I think most of the time, maybe not all the time, but most of the time, you would be surprised how open they are to new ideas about especially things like finances that could create more financial freedom for the salon and just make things just streamlined, you know, and easy. Like, oh, you pricing this or pricing that or pricing this, and just like all the breakdown of it just seems to be a lot when it could be really simple, okay?